Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined by David Francisco and Peter Martinez. Coming back to you with another installment of our wonderful podcast that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more. And I'm sorry to say, because we live in a reality where 99.99999% of all the stories that are coming out in the news, whether it be politics or actually movie entertainment news, it's going to be negative. It is what it is. We hope that you stay tuned for our dark sense of humor and bashing
You
on
don't
each
have
other.
to. I would recommend not listening. It's not entertaining. It's very boring. It's very dark. Not enough diversity hires.
Okay. Anyway, so because that's kind of the state of where we are, it's going to kind of be that. So you kind of already know what this is going to be for the most part. It's a spiraling vortex of terror, and we're all going down the drain together. And that's kind of where things are going to be going. So I'm sorry to say, but that's what it is. On today's installment, we are going to go ahead and cover what we thought were, at least in our part, some of the things that we found interesting from CinemaCon. And then some other bit of perhaps news or revelations that were made coming out of that con. As well as... Exactly, right? As well as, of course, something, quote-unquote, seemingly, coming out of, quote-unquote, nowhere, with Minecraft evidently being one of the biggest box office openings of all time. And then, of course, the accompanying milieu of annoyances that have come with it that we now have to give airtime to. And then on top of all of that, by the way, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but apparently we have an animated Peter Martinez, and apparently I'm being critiqued and reviewed in real time. So that's wonderful. I can't even get through an intro without having to be stopped.
That's why you invited me to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, we're not at that point yet. So can you shut up until it's your time to speak? And then we have hopefully a review for I Saw the TV Glow, which was evidently one of the more lauded films from last year.
Lauded.
Again, gotta love the critique in real time here. Maybe write a goddamn review and I'll read it live on air. And I'll do that, but I know that you won't because you can't write. Anyway, that is our show today on Red Spotlight number 502. So yeah, we're at 502 episodes here.
Let me find
which is wonderful because we're now in April, and this year is quickly kind of already going into the drain. You know,
look what I found.
What did you find?
It's the paper I had for when we did the Rebels review together, and I wrote down all my points.
But I thought you had that framed.
I was thinking I should.
You should frame it.
Some good points.
Because then you would have an excuse to actually put it on the wall. Then again, you're allergic to actually making anything look decent in there, so I'm not sure if you're going to do that, but...
Let's see. Let me read my points. Rebels crew, not that interesting. Writing
David,
and dialogue
Peter
feels more simplistic.
I want you to have in mind what the question I was going to ask you, David, is what do you personally feel this year is like as far as the movies are concerned? We're here, obviously, to talk about where things are with the industry. We've been covering them for a long time now. I'm of the view that this is a particular year that is a lot like it's been recently, but yet somehow, like with everything else, a lot worse than what it usually is. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I apologize, Peter, would you like to finish reading your Rebels review?
I would just point everyone to episode 239, in which we reviewed...
Is it really that one?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Felt right, though. In which we reviewed Rebels live on air. It's one of our better episodes.
Okay. All right. Anywho, I know I asked David. I'm going to give you more time to think about that question, but I just feel like a lot of everything lately goes back to where we are. This past week has been really tough, just to kind of like process mentally all of what's been happening. And I feel like we here have never really shied away from talking about things happening that are far more important than movies, quite frankly. And we've always defended that because all of the stuff that happens when it comes to presidential politics really does have an impact on movies themselves. And I feel like if people don't know that, then they're kind of they're either one of two things. Usually it's the kind of person who was like, keep politics out of my movies. I only support the views that I feel and blah, 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 blah. But then there are, of course, some people who are legitimately like, well, I kind of come to these kind of shows to not think about what's going on in the news. And that's fair, right? But
this show?
Like no. This kind of show. Usually, I think people who tune into movie podcasts or movie news typically do not want to be ambushed with a Donald Trump sermon, right? That's not what
I
they
guess
want.
we really give the people what they want.
Yeah, clearly. But
didn't Kyle said we were like number 9 in like top 5 searches of terrible podcast?
We should wear that as a badge of honor if that is true, but I do find the backing behind that to be quite dubious at best. I'm not sure.
I believe it.
Okay. I mean, we all believe what we want to believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can believe that Donald Trump will make prices lower, but I think everything...
He did for about 10 minutes today.
Hey, well, which is longer than La La Land winning Best Picture. So I guess there's that.
Yeah.
The point there being is, look, deregulation is something that is really kind of the culprit behind why a lot of the things are broken in Hollywood, right? Whether it comes to how the studios handle their talent, and then also how they make their products, which is the movies. This mantra of deregulation, and then of course allowing these corporate mergers, as some famous individuals right now are touring the country are saying, yes, we are living in an oligarchy, and we are now literally coming full throttle, full force into that this year. In this past week, especially has kind of made it obvious, which there is no running, there is no hiding, there is no getting away from a person with the most amount of influence and power seemingly going out of their way to make your life a living hell in a variety of different ways. And there were many points throughout this last week where I was just literally for the first time really processing. Not that I hadn't thought of it before, but just like fully processing, oh my God, my life is seriously going to be inconvenienced. It already has, but is even more going to be inconvenienced. By,
you called me crying, yeah.
Yeah, okay. By, what's going on right now. And, I don't mean to make this into a moment of like comedy, although I guess that's one person's way of dealing with it, I suppose. But it's been a tough week, honestly, from a mental standpoint. This one especially. And I feel like it's different because I think people have coined it Tariffgate. I think people are trying to get that going. But it may or may not. I don't know. But with...
I have a small amount of money invested in the stock market. Very basic, S&P 500. You know how much I've lost since Trump has been in office? in office. $1,000. I could have burned it and it'd been more useful, because it at least would have looked pretty, you know?
Okay. See, this is what I mean. And it's really hard when you have real life problems that are coming up, you know? For instance, Peter, you actually wisely were able to purchase a vehicle before the disaster that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on that one.
I got it in right under the radar.
You really did. You really did. Because now we're in a position where this leading power called the United States, this crumbling empire, is now tariffing every single nation in existence. And by the way, I want to make sure I almost did a double check. Was it yesterday or today? We're doing 104% tariff on China now.
Yeah. What's the 4%? Taiwan? I don't.
I think Taiwan's its own separate tariff.
Wow.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Don't
ask the Chinese that, though.
No, don't ask them that.
No, yeah, I'm sure they're getting hit with like a shit ton of tariffs as well. I haven't looked at the exact numbers; they were all stupid. But doesn't Taiwan make like 90% of the chips in the world? Not the food chips, but like technological chips.
I think so. Which, by the way, I believe was repealed, right? I think the CHIPS Act was destroyed by Donald Trump already, so that's also another thing that is going against it. Why is this relevant to movies? Well, the economy is stupid. A recession is coming. The crashes that are happening. Like, I don't think it's hyperbole anymore. Like, we lived through the economic recession of 2008, but we weren't really like that affected by it because we were not adults. Now we are, so we're that privileged in that sense now. But you correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but this feels like we're living through the new crash of 29, which, by the way, almost 100 years later, people still very much have scars from that because it led to a depression.
Well, potato,
There weren't any potatoes. That was the depression.
That was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Usually just dinner, but yeah. Potato. No, it's bad. I guess what makes it funny, well, not funny. I mean, if you're gonna bleed out, I guess laugh. Is it's unlike every other major economic downturn in American history. This is 100% self-inflicted by one idiot. One. No other single person, even any other idiotic right-wing politician I can think of would do what Trump's doing right now. They wouldn't. Because they like money, you know?
He lost Elon Musk. He lost a lot of his
Elon
a lot of his
Musk
ideological like diehards are like, what are you thinking? This is so idiotic. His own people are telling him this. What are you doing?
Yeah. So it's interesting in that sense of it's like, did idiocy on the part of governments, and maybe you can point to one or two people that had a bigger influence than others, lead to major economic downturns in the past in this country? Yeah, for sure. But I genuinely think this is the first time in our country's recorded history where it's like, no, it's literally just one person making an obviously stupid decision that every economist in the world...
Economist.
Yeah, I was going to say, I said that wrong. What?
Economist.
Sorry, I'm sleep deprived. Economist in the world agrees it's just really stupid. And it's just going to continue because of his ego. One idiot wiped out trillions. It's pretty inspiring.
It is inspiring, but you know what makes the difference is that if this was the first Trump term, he would have already like bowed down. He wouldn't have like gone on
Well,
this long.
this is what we warned people about.
Yeah.
Remember when he won the second time, and I was like, maybe things need to get a little bad because people have far too much trust in the system. And they won't admit that they have trust in the system, but they do because that's what it is. They have trust in the system. And they kind of don't believe all the stupid things that he tried. They're like, oh no, it'll be fine. It's really this thing of like, no, it'll work itself out. It's fine because they're Americans and they're coddled and they've never actually had to deal with like when shit goes bad, you know? And in 2016, when he won the first time, he had those guardrails and he had, you know, regular Republicans in his cabinet that are like, you know, I might be a heartless son of a bitch, but I don't want to burn the world for no reason because I like money, you know, just give me my tax cuts and I'll be happy. This time when he won, he made extra specially sure to only include his yes men. And he's governing in such a way. And also just the party itself has like really gotten worse since 2016. It's gotten worse every year of my life. So, but yeah, this is Trump a lot more unrestrained, and this is the idiocy that you're gonna get. And yeah, and honestly, I still maintain this thing of like maybe people just need to
Suffer.
not suffer, but like
Well, that's going to happen no matter what. They're going to suffer because of what's going to happen.
It's a byproduct no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just kind of have it bluntly put in their face what the actions of their consequences have. Like,
I mean, specifically for Trump supporters, there's been a lot of people who like they realized they were playing with dynamite and they've been blown up. And it was pretty funny how it didn't take very long. It took a matter of hours when he was sworn in, and then it's been trickling in ever since, all the ways that they've been screwed over by the person that they voted for.
It's not even that. I can't tell you how many stories I've read of some immigrant going like, well, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump, but I never thought he'd deport me. I'm a good person. And it's like, you're stupid. He will it's never been more blunt, the hatred for immigrants, and you think you're special? Like, you think you're that?
I want to just pause here real quick because in this weekend, a court order was given to the administration to return a wrongly deported immigrant, and the administration said no.
Yeah.
And they asked the Supreme Court to overrule the lower court, which they will. And
yeah,
that wrongly deported person who committed no crime will stay deported.
And now Trump is openly talking about how it would be great to deport
protesters.
No, just
Palestinian
U.S. citizens.
Protesters. Oh,
in general. We're moving beyond, like, before it was, I'm going to get rid of all the illegal immigrants. And then it's like, well, then we're really going to crack down on legal immigrants that have, you know, maybe they've committed crimes. Now it's not about even committing crimes. It's just, are you in any way just not a citizen? Okay, we're cracking down on you. And now they're trying to talk about, like, laying the groundwork of, like, well, you know, why not legal citizens, right? And it's like, if you have half a brain, you would know this is where it was heading. And I'm of the mind politically that you need to hold, not even necessarily the politicians, what do you call it? Hold them accountable, because they've already removed every ability to hold them accountable. And you need to hold the voters accountable. Because my entire life, I've seen an entire group of people say and believe incredibly stupid things. And then when it didn't turn out to be true or blew up in their face completely, it seems like we just immediately move on with any kind of like reconciling of like, hey, that was kind of fucking insane, right? Like I feel like we never do that. And I think it's the reason why we have allowed people in this country to go from crazy to crazier to crazier to crazier, because there isn't that like reckoning, right? I do think there should be a reckoning of like, this was really stupid, you know, and very obviously a bad choice. Like, and oh man, I'm just thinking about like, that's just not gonna happen though, because a good chance is there's many ways that this can go as far as the tariffs, and every single one of them, I'm already imagining like the narrative to defend it, right? Like, let's say Trump just gets the smallest concession ever, and then he's like, all right, now I'm going to remove the tariff, which is something he's done in the past, where he does something really dumb, blunders it, declares victory over nothing, and everyone's like, oh my God. They start clapping. He did it. He's such a master negotiator. I can see that, or he just sort of lets it continue, and the same bullshit that people have talked about, oh, it's going great, just continues. Or like we have somewhat of a recovery, and people go like, oh, see, look, it's working, right? But I don't know if you've seen that image, and it's true. It's like somewhat of a recovery, but it's far less than it would have been economically in this country if we just hadn't done tariffs at all. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you lose $500, but you find, $100, and you think like, oh man, I did it. And it's like, no, you still lost money at the end of the day.
And by the way, today I just saw a clip today at a speech. The president said, we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals. Which I
honestly, I think at this point, his hope is to inflict as much damage as humanly possible, as quickly as humanly possible, in his eyes, to
I mean, they're considering
country.
Drone strikes for Mexican cartels. That's going to end up beautifully. I mean, nobody will be harmed through drone strikes, right?
It's fascism streamlined, right? And this was the anti-war president. Remember that, guys.
Can I just, by the way, in this time of such overwhelming depression of where life is heading, can we give out, some appreciation? I have like two people in mind, Jon Stewart and Bill Burr. Those two people are like really, really like kind of like the only ones out there who like brilliantly commenting on what's going on, but just like making you feel a little bit good, just to laugh a little bit about like what's going on. As you said so beautifully, if you're gonna bleed out, at least laugh. That's a really good way of putting it. By the way, based on what you were saying earlier, to me, is a short clip from The Daily Show, which I thought was hilarious because of where we are. Can I just play this one right here?
Since June 2020, during the COVID pandemic.
Financial destruction not seen since the pandemic. And this time, there's no controversy over how it all started. There's no wet market. You, Trump, released the contagion. It's your lab leak. And it's right out in the open. This is like if the researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology walked out to the Great Lawn with a Tupperware and went, we have an exciting announcement.
I mean, yeah, that's literally what I was saying 2 minutes ago, where it's like, this isn't some crazy, this wasn't caused by natural disaster. This wasn't caused by terrorism, which you can lead back to 100 different million factors. This is just one person deciding to do this.
Yeah, but can we just be honest here? It's not just one idiot. I would even say there's two idiots. We're suffering through this idiot because of the last idiot. The presidency of Donald Trump is subsequently the legacy in part of Joe Biden. Because I have to say, like, the last time prices went up this much, there was a reasonable and expected way of explaining what was going on. We had a pandemic. The world was shut down for a year and a half. And then, of course, the corporate powers that they are were fucking greedy, and they took it as an opportunity to fuck all of us over. Why couldn't the Democrat in the White House say this every single day and lead a campaign, go out there and do some fucking rallies against the goddamn oligarchs? That's what any normal person would have done. Of course, they were captured by oligarchs themselves. So, I'm sorry?
You mean one specific normal person?
Well,
rhymes
yes.
with
the
Bernie Banders?
The president that never was, but should have been, basically, 2 times.
Yes. Ooh, that's a great name for a book about the failed Bernie Sanders.
Yes, the failed
election.
presidential candidate.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, here we are now. Great. And why does this have an impact?
Who's doing the likes?
Whenever this happens, the phone just... My phone's camera is recording me, so it just does this. And it does I don't know.
Does
it's
it? What
been
the fuck?
It was because you're not using your phone, you're using your computer webcam, which the quality we can tell, by the way. So it's kind of where we are in that situation.
This laptop is gonna cost as much as a house in a year. Okay, screw you.
Or an iPhone will cost as much as a house in about a year, so that for sure is going to happen. Okay, but why does any of this matter? Why do tariffs matter when it comes to movies? By the way, China today just announced that they're completely banning all imported movies.
They're thinking about it.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't announced. It's a report, but that's one obviously way of it. But the reality is this: if we had a succession of actual Democratic presidents that would have prevented a lot of these movie studios from being purchased from conglomerate corporation organizations instead of merging, you know, and quite honestly, the one that I think was the point of no return and what should not have been allowed to happen was when 20th Century Fox went bankrupt. The government should have stepped in, broken it up, and allowed the studios to bid for which properties they wanted. No one studio should have been allowed, realistically, from buying a whole other studio, because I feel like, and the question that I led with at the top, David, was, how do you feel about this year? I feel is, where the hell are all the movies? Where are all the movies? Well, this is what happened. And we were there, by the way, in 2017, when we were like, this is a bad idea. Because when you allow one corporate, and of course it had to be Disney, right? You allow one corporation to own the others, a lot of bad shit's gonna happen. And of course, immediately, thousands of people lost their jobs, right? That was just at the beginning of the onset.
Yeah, that's just how it starts.
That wasn't even before the days of David Zaslav, who comes from Discovery, who acquired the studio Warner Brothers. Why? Because, that's right, a goddamn merger, which of course the Trump administration allowed. Okay? These mergers lead to layoffs, and they lead to less films being made. By the way, that was set in stone before the pandemic changed everything. Because then the studios came in and, you know what? What an amazing opportunity. We can now cut the theaters out of the pie and keep all the money for ourselves. And in a few years, we can use AI to replace all of our talent. It's amazing. Because that's literally the evil that is the mind of these capitalistic monster creatures. And the reality is, as we say, we're not going to blame these mindless capitalistic goons for being mindless capitalistic goons. We should be blaming the lack of oversight, the lack of intervention through a government. This is why it matters. Hey, fucking Joe Biden, where the hell were you in Mission Impossible 2 years ago when it came out and you said, gee, this AI thing is really scary, huh? That was an actual story. And what did you do? Nothing. Instead, all the people who own us, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they're forcing AI on society. And of course, we're not going to resist the opportunity to be lazier than we actually are. Where we are right now is the result of 40, 50 years in the making. It can all be traced back to the 60s and 70s when Democrats decided to be more corporate, and then, of course, leading to Ronald Reagan, who completely destroyed this country. One of the main things that he was known for was deregulation, and it was in the 80s, mind you, when you think to yourself, well, how did these corporations own the movie studios to begin with? That's where it originated from. So you think to yourself, what is going on? That's that. And then, of course, there's the other side of the pie. With the advancement of technology, of course, these studios mishandled streaming, and they're not in a position to really know what to do to get people back to the theaters in the way that it used to be, if that's even possible, which it most likely is not the way that it used to be, obviously, but you can still keep it thriving. But they won't even do something as simple as returning to a 45-day window theatrical exclusivity, which can help a lot. They won't do that because why would they share any more of the little money that is left that they, by the way, fucked up themselves? And they have nobody to blame them themselves, because all the different kinds of movies that used to be in theaters, why do you think, where are all the movies? They're now on streaming, which are made for cheaper, which they outsource and they bring back in here. And of course, that is not even touching just the complete lack of talent. And the talent that is left, just the dumbing down of expectations, the dumbing down and the illiteracy all coming together to create vapid nonsense. So I really hope I didn't miss anything there. I feel like that's covering it for the most part, like why we are where we are. But how I feel right now is it feels like, for me personally, it has been a long time since anything that has come out in theaters that has interested me. What is today? This is April 8th. What are the new releases of 2025 that I have seen in theaters? I've seen Mickey 17. I've seen The Day the Earth, the Looney Tunes movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I saw Captain America. Yay. I saw Companion.
I forgot.
That's it.
Two of those were kind of touch and go on whether they'd ever even be released, and one of them I think went to streaming about 2 weeks after it premiered. Okay. And I don't know. I don't think any of them made money. So,
no, probably not. And meanwhile, there's been a sea of just like titles and options that have been out there that I've just have seemingly no interest in. Minecraft being one of those. And of course, what a big slap in my face it was. It ended up being one of the most historic films in the industry. And I think an even bigger slap in my face, I will say, because there are some personalities out there who I feel like are quite tact with like where things are going. I was quite shocked myself to hear Sean Fennessy, who is beloved, but going on his podcast and saying that the Minecraft being a success was a very positive story. And I cannot wrap my head around it. Because to me, it's like he was championing it as like the beginning of a new era. And I'm like, this is more of the same. This is late stage capitalism. This is not anything new as far as I'm concerned. And I'll make the distinction. Maybe you know what he was talking about. Maybe you've heard about the argument that he made.
No.
But like, I'm not here to defend him. I'm just like, this is so bizarre and strange and weird. And Peter, not to cut you off, but like David has not spoken, I don't think, a single word today. So I wanted to go ahead and let him answer the question that I asked at the top. Am I leading the witness? Very much so. I'm not going to deny that I'm not. But I want to go ahead and allow David to speak for himself and just like try to process everything here, because I mean, it just feels like this year, more than any other year that we've ever experienced. Where are all the movies? David.
I mean, that all kind of feels the same to me. Yeah, when you point it out, there is less movies that I'm interested in this year and all that. The thing, though, is part of the reason why I say it feels the same is because I watch and listen to other things. I don't just focus on movies. I watch,
which is good.
Yes,
that's what I always tell the one below you, in the little boxes. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because then when you're in situations like this, you get real. You're like, there's nothing, and it's like, no, there's a lot of amazing things out there.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta widen that scope, you know,
and not just new things. It's okay to look at old things.
old things.
Old
There's so
things,
many
but-
old things
Mhm.
that you've never read or seen or heard. You know?
I mean,
By the way, recently I
That are
watched
great.
2 films. Thanks to the big picture, I watched 2 films from 1982 that I'd never seen before. One's called The Verdict, and the other's called Tootsie. And I thought they were both pretty fucking great.
That second one's amazing.
Tootsie is like, I saw it on Friday, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is like a really good movie. And Dustin Hoffman, of course. So it was great. So yeah, I think there's a lot of older stuff, which is what I found myself last year kind of like going and like so many things I saw, like I revisited and like, wow, this is great. David, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I mean, on something recently that I've just been looking at, I listened to the audiobook for The Fourth Wing, which was, you know, popular book from last. Well, no, I can't remember how long The Fourth Wing came out, but you know, it's a trilogy now. It's becoming very popular in book, social media stuff, and all that. I have some problems with that book, but so far, I mean, it was pretty good. I like the world that it took place on. The characters were really cool. The characters individually were really cool. The relationship between the characters is very toxic. People, I really need to look at some reviews because I need to know why you like it. And then comic book, I recently got. I don't know if you guys ever saw the My Adventures with Superman,
No,
the cartoon
of
show.
course I
And-
wouldn't though.
Yeah, and Adult
I
Swim.
did.
Yeah, I got the comic book that came out, and that's supposed to take place between the first and second season. I got that, which is great, and I also got the Supergirl comic, Woman of Tomorrow. I haven't read it yet, but I know I'll try to read as fast as I can. But you know, I'm getting new stuff. Anime. I haven't watched anything new this year, but last year, I mean, it was just all Dragon Ball, Daima. What?
Read Superman Up in the Sky
Up in the Sky? Okay.
by
I'll take-
Tom King.
Okay.
It's a real good one,
All right.
and it's by the same writer as Superman, the Supergirl comic. It's only 12 issues.
Yeah.
It's very digestible.
And I was so tempted to getting the Batman Long Halloween comic recently, just because I mean I'm going to the movies a lot more now since I was last year, and in the theater that we've all been to, there's a comic book store nearby, so I go there every single time, and I'm always tempted to.
It's a great store.
It's a really
great
good store, and I'm like tempted. I'm tempted to re-buy the Invincible
want
comics because I lost it once.
Life-size cutout of Mon Mothma.
It's there.
That's the store
there.
for you.
So you know, I'm getting into new things too. Right there in the bag, some boxes for Magic the Gathering and all that. So
You put your whole life savings into it yet?
I might as well. But you know, like I said, I look into other things other than just movies, and yeah, like we all said, we recommend
see-
looking at other things.
That's the great thing about tariffs. It affects all of those things too.
Yeah, either way.
Especially
Well,
video games.
especially video games.
Oh my god, I was so excited by that Switch 2 announcement. And then like
No shit. Nope. That's not
Oh
happening.
my gosh, the drama going on around that is insane.
big drama, yeah.
But
That's the thing. Like people were really mad about the pricing. And to be fair, Nintendo can be
Nintendo.
huge
It's Nintendo.
sticklers when it comes to
Yes.
pricing. But then the tariffs happened like the next day or something, and I'm like, guys, it's not coming down. That price is not coming down.
yeah,
If anything, it might be kicked up a little bit. You know, depending. We'll see.
What was the price point that Nintendo announced?
well, it's $450 if you just
$450.
if you get the
Which-
Switch too. But if you
People were kind of already like, that's a little high.
Mhm.
To me, I'm like, well, you know, I can. it's more understandable.
Mhm.
People really had an issue with the pricing of the individual games themselves.
Yeah. So, yeah, 500
Which
if you get the
was-
Switch 2 with the game, with the Mario Kart game. But Mario Kart by itself is about $90 or no, $80, I think.
80.
Yeah, $80. Which 70 is already like you're taking all my money. So, $60 to $70 you're taking all my money.
It's one of those things where you really have to wonder. It's like, look, I think we all are under the impression that, like, in all likelihood, there is, you know, in the middle of this fascist takeover, it may already be too late, but, like, at what point do people just really go, like, I've had enough, and things just start going, like,
That's the
ape shit.
beautiful thing. It just doesn't. Things just get a little worse and a little more
Mhm.
worse. And that's why, like, hey, science fiction is so cool because it's like it's accurate in a lot of ways. Like everything just continues. It's just like things are just worse, you know? It's like, oh man, my my $200 TV subscription, you know, to one streaming service. I can't afford it this week. I guess, you know, it's just TikTok 5-second reels that I can afford, you know, which each reel is, 99 cents. So I'm going to scroll for 6 hours. Like, didn't they just say that, what was it? DoorDash was going to, like, team up with, the service where you can, like, like, pay, what do you call it? Basically borrow money to pay for the service, right? So you're going to have people
destruction of society. This is
People are
the
gonna be going
destruction
into
of
debt.
society.
to get a taxi for their burrito. And that's just kind of, I don't know, it's like Blade Runner, right? It's like people still go to work, you know, the world keeps turning, but it's just kind of shittier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope not. At some point, you would hope that there would be enough is enough, you know.
I'll tell you why that's not going to happen. Like,
You just have to
Looking
beat
at-
me into
No,
submission,
I-
do you? Okay, great.
look at
Go
movies. Look at movies, right? Because that's kind of, I guess, what we're supposed to be talking about. Movies aren't going to get better because the next generation has not been raised on movies. So they don't feel like they're losing anything, you know? We feel like we're losing something because we love movies and, you know, grew up watching it. This new generation, they have not. They don't feel like they're losing anything. They don't care. You know what they grew up on? They grew up on TikTok reels. They grew up on YouTube and streamer personalities. They grew up on Mr. Beast videos and Coco Melon. You know, those are the things they have nostalgia for. Like, this whole thing with Minecraft, it's the same thing with Mario, where it's like, you should not be surprised that it made a lot of money
Mhm.
because the things that you're mining for nostalgia haven't been nostalgia for a long time because they've been just re-eaten by, you know, society. There hasn't been new shit. The only new shit has been video games, right? So stuff like Mario, stuff like Minecraft, that's the shit that hasn't been mined for nostalgia in the same way as literally everything else, right? Like, let's be real. How many people actually grew up on Ghostbusters? I mean, you're older, but it's already been mined to death. You know what kids have been grown up on Minecraft? Young people. People that are still teenagers, people that are in their 20s, early 20s, you know? So that's still ripe for the, what do you call it? Nostalgia bait. That's the next step in nostalgia bait. That's why that thing you said earlier where it's like, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. The only thing is the things that we're nostalgia mining now are a little bit more relevant to the people that want to that could be pulled into the movies, you know? Although, very clearly, never mind. I don't want to get into all the way audiences are reacting to that movie.
We will.
But yeah, I know.
We will.
But I don't want to, so we won't.
Well, I was going to go somewhere, but on that depressing note, I'm not sure what I was going to say. Yeah, I don't know, Peter. That has to be an all-timer for you. Like, I'm really struggling to really reconcile with that because, well, where do we go from here?
Nowhere. You die.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And then the new generation is going to be pissed off because it's like, they don't make YouTube videos like Mr. Beast or streamers like Kai Sentat anymore. And it's the cycle. Did I give you an existential crisis or?
No, I was already going through it.
Okay.
But a lot of the chatter that was coming out of CinemaCon was like, people are quite scared about what's going to happen, and they should be, because things are obviously just getting worse and worse. Did anything come out of CinemaCon that caught your interest? Because again, to me, it was just another reason for why things are just so poor, because like, really? This is what you got?
I think they showed footage and trailers and stuff, but I don't think they like released it to like the public. I guess.
No. Okay, we'll go through it one by one then. First of all, it'll be real quick, these ones. Mm-hmm. You were right about what Kevin Feige said about Avengers, Peter.
What? What do you mean?
You were right because Kevin Feige had comments about what was the synopsis for Avengers Doomsday.
Oh, yeah.
And you basically claimed like that was everything you said in the podcast that we did last time. So congratulations again on a very, well,
I did
pretty
it.
Astute prediction.
I made the most obvious guess in the world.
Yep. Which is basically just the rehash of Infinity War.
Yeah. Reheat them nachos, boy.
Mm-hmm. So, again, not very interesting stuff right there. What else happened? There was new footage for Superman.
Yes. Very minimal, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It's my most exciting. I like Superman. He's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
David, read Superman Up in the Sky.
I gotta write that down.
What?
I have it right here. The comic. Let me pull it out. Superman.
Nice. You gotta read Superman Smashes the Klan.
I have.
You have read it? Okay.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's so good. I love it.
It's really good. All right, I'm just gonna read this now.
AMC chief Adam Aaron claims that 3 studios are with him on returning to a 45-day theatrical window.
Honestly,
whatever that's worth.
If you don't own a streaming service, you should be all for a 45-day. And even those that do, like, it seems like they just burn money. I don't know. It's like, it almost feels like sunk cost fallacy, where it's like, we've put so much effort and money into this, we have to make it work. It's the future, guys. Everyone said it was the future.
I don't know. I mean, are they even profitable? They're still just losing money on it.
Is maybe
that would be the only one, I think.
I want to say Netflix and Hulu are the only ones, but
because they were the first.
They were. Yeah.
I mean, they really were the first two,
and
they're really good. Well, Hulu is. Netflix can go fuck itself.
I like Hulu. Oh, speaking of, you want positive movie news? I'm gonna bring you some positive movie news. Well, I don't know if you'll care. I'll care. David will care because he's an OG, Coolio. Unlike this, what should I call you? Let me think of a name to call you. No, that's a slur. Not that one. Poophead. Let's go with Poophead. Let's keep it simple. Unlike this Poophead here, they released today a trailer for an animated Predator anthology film that's going to be released on Hulu, directed by Trachtenberg, who had directed Prey. And it's 3 stories of Predator in, I think, World War II, feudal Japan, and Vikings. And it looked sick as hell.
Okay.
Which is in addition to the live-action Predator film that he's made that I'm pretty sure is going to release in theaters, set in the far future with the Predator as the main character.
Ooh. Okay.
Pretty sick, pretty fun, pretty cool.
I would have liked if those 3 stories were its own.
Yeah.
Live action. But I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna get that anytime soon. So I'm happy to take it as animated.
Yes.
And together. I mean, so
Animation
cool.
was dope. Positive movie news, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's a script, I guess, by Quentin Tarantino that originally was The Movie Critic, which we all thought was going to be his last movie, and then it ended up evolving into a Cliff movie, the character played by Brad Pitt, and now it's been handed off to David Fincher to direct. What?
Okay, it's so funny. He is so obviously in his own head about this final movie thing. It genuinely feels like he loves the script and he wants to see it be made into a film. But he's getting cold feet, I think, over it being his last movie. So instead of making it, he's handing it over to David Fincher?
Yeah.
Which to me, I think the obvious answer is just make more than one more movie.
Mm-hmm.
No one is putting a gun to your head, Quinn. The only thing I can imagine is he made a meal with made a deal with the devil over 30 years ago to go from working in a movie store to being the biggest director of his lifetime. And the deal was after his 10th film, they take his soul. So now he's trying to not make this 10th movie and make all kinds of excuses for it. That's the only thing I can imagine is making him act this way. Or massive ego. But a Hollywood director with massive ego, that can't be possible. But yeah, that's really funny news to me. I like it. I actually think it's fun when Tarantino scripts are made by other directors. I think it's fun. I'm a big fan of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Did he write I can't remember the name of it, but it was Adam Sandler playing Satan's son.
Little Nicky?
Little Nicky, yeah.
No, I know. He write it? No.
Oh, okay.
I think
Wasn't
he made
he
a
in it?
cameo in it.
Yeah, okay.
He made a cameo, but he didn't write it.
Oh, okay.
But that's funny. That's funny movie. I don't know if it's positive or negative, but it's funny movie news.
It's unexpected, that's for sure. Coyote versus Acme Lives.
Oh my god, talk about you want to be full of hope right now for the movie industry. Thank you, Ketchup Entertainment, which I did not know existed until you flashed in front of my eyes when watching The Day the Earth Blew Up. Hell yeah.
Mm.
I'll definitely watch that in theaters to support. It's one of those things where it's like you gotta support it.
No,
Come on.
yeah.
Like everyone says that about movies, but this was such a unique situation where it's like you gotta support it.
Mhm.
It's so fucked up what they try to do to that movie.
Right. At this point, it's just gonna make a lot of money because of what happened.
Well, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't even know if that's true.
I can see it happening. But people did that with.
That's my hope.
I mean, people did that with Sonic. When the first one came out, people were bashing on the CGI.
That was fucking Sonic, and also they actually marketed that movie. The thing with The Day the Earth Blew Up, they didn't market the movie. Like
No,
they
I know.
released it in a
Because
theater.
Ketchup couldn't afford to.
That's what I mean. I doubt they're going to be able to afford marketing this movie
Of any kind, really. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, if they want to put all their money on it, they can market it and put the directors of it, the actors on press tour, going like, "I'm so happy that this thing is going to theaters." You know, we almost
That's
lost
the biggest
chance.
seller for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if they do it
Yeah.
right, and that way it'll make its money back. Like I said, with Sonic, yeah, it's Sonic a big name and all that, but a lot of people did want to go see it because the CGI artist, the VFX artist, put in like a whole lot of overtime to try to fix what they did to it and all that, and they want to support that. You also have the Snyder Cut, which I don't know how it would have done in theaters, but people wanted to see that.
I think it would have
because-
bombed in theaters.
maybe.
The thing is, most people online is a bubble. I know it feels like it isn't, but it kind
Yeah.
of is. Most people didn't go and see the first one. Those that didn't like it, and they're being told like, what? They're releasing that shitty movie again in theaters? Why in the fuck would I go see it? And I already saw it. It kind of sucked, or I just wasn't interested in seeing it in the first place. It sucks, but yeah, like those kind of things are very online.
Yeah.
Even though they feel like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
That's how executives in the movie industry actually, I think, get in trouble, because they see a lot of chatter about shit online and they're like, oh, clearly this will have real world ramifications, box office wise. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It won't. Very rarely does it happen. The only thing I can think of is like Barbenheimer. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Should we talk about Minecraft?
Sure.
Oh, I did. That was everything I had to say about Minecraft.
So, this past week, it ended up making a lot of money. It ended up making more than Barbie did in its opening weekend. I didn't watch it. Peter and I talked about it for a couple of seconds if there was any interest in watching it. There was no interest to do so.
I'll be honest, I was never even a big fan of the game, so like, I know it's sacrilegious to say, but
I'm not a fan either, so.
So yeah, that happened. The trailers looked annoying. It looked like a corporate movie made to not really even feel like one. And based on everything that happened, I'm just so drained of everything involving movies, Like, I don't think this was widespread anyway, but I just feel like all of this is just yet another aspect of movie going that is just really driving me up a wall, with like seeing videos of people with a sea of phones recording the movie. People now just openly recording the whole movie just like that, so flippantly.
But that's kind of that was my point, right? Like, a lot of these people are kids that have not seen a lot of. They don't regularly go to movie theaters for entertainment or fun. They watch, YouTube clips. They watch Minecraft streamers and shit like that. This they don't care about movies. They think it's funny memes. Basically, it's a funny meme experience for a lot of the quote unquote fans that go and see it.
Which is why I was just so completely puzzled by Sean Fennessy saying how like this was so inspirational to see so many new people at the movies, and because they went to go see Minecraft, they now are gonna have a love for appreciating going to the movie theaters.
No.
And just like, you are deluded, my friend. You are so
That's not gonna
deluded. This was the worst of the, literally the worst of the worst came to go see this because, I mean, to put it mildly, that was the best of their behavior. At worst, we saw, I mean, there were reports of police being called, screenings being paused, screenings being canceled, refunds being demanded, workers being body slammed, food being thrown at the screen and at people. There were multiple people who went online that I saw that had like soda or water literally thrown at their head. And then and again, I don't know how widespread this is. Maybe it was a handful of showings, but It filled me with such dread. It filled me with such terror that, and I really am just so saddened by all of this because I never thought I would be a part of a crumbling civilization. I never thought that my life would turn out this way. And I am very disturbed by it. It was, you know, I think in under more normal circumstances, usually this would get a rant out of me, you know, just like angry and all. I give up. I give up. And that's what I wanted you, Peter, to comment on, specifically that part, because I feel like at the very least there would be individuals who would see that this is actually not a positive thing for movies. It kind of is like the coming attraction of its death knell.
You can argue it's positive in so much that a movie made money at the box office, you know? But yeah, no, I this idea that it's like, like the future, it's like, maybe, but not in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people, a lot of those people, you know, Rowdy and stuff like that, they went for the memes, basically. They didn't go to like watch a movie, kind of. Yeah, I don't see it as like necessarily this big positive turn in Hollywood. The only thing I can see that's going to happen from this is that studios are going to look at other video game properties and try and see like, oh, which one can we do? I bet you Disney right now is trying in boardrooms, you know, knocking heads together, trying to figure out a Fortnite movie. That's gonna be a big one. You bet your bottom dollar. A Fortnite movie. And the funny thing about Fortnite is they have a lot of skins of real life characters. So watch Fortnite characters run around in a field with like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and Iron Man and
well, they already
Synergy.
did that. It's called Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yeah, I know. They're gonna keep doing it. That's just movies now. That's just what movies are. Look at all the things we own. Like, I loved that comparison that people made between the advertising for the Shrek animated film and then this Shrek live action film, where it's like, before they'd reference like, oh, look at these amazing, wonderful characters and films we made, you know, and then, you know, ooh, Stitch is kind of an oddball among the group. Isn't that funny, cute, weird? You know, entice you to go see the movie. And then with this new Lilo and Stitch remake, it's like, oh, look at all the properties we purchased. Look at the corporate synergy.
Mm.
And it's like,
I guess that's the thing about what makes this so existential for me is that not only are less movies being made, but to me it felt like with this whole Minecraft thing,
mm-hmm.
at a point well before my time is up, I feel like I've just been completely left in the dust, and like all this new fanfare, it's just not for me.
You're old.
And it's not like I don't
The
want to be
future is
included in
now
the
old,
party.
man.
It just feels like all this stuff is just shit and evil. And when I was watching a lot of those videos of like, I was just trying to imagine, I feel like, and I was going to ask you guys like how you would feel if you were in a screening like that, because I feel like I literally would just explode and die. I think I would just have a heart attack and drop dead on the floor if I was in one of those screenings. Because I feel like I get I legit get like bad, I think, whatever. I don't have high blood pressure, but I feel like I do in instances when even just people are just badgering on and on and on in movies. But this, I think, would literally cause a heart attack. How would you feel if you were watching this movie and then all of this just broke out?
Well,
That's such a hard answer because I just wouldn't be there.
well, it's also a hard answer
Well-
because it depends on the movie. Because if it was with Minecraft, I would be like, this is the most fun thing that's happening right now. Because I did watch the movie. It sucks.
Concise review.
Yeah. Honestly, the whole time I'm like, oh, I don't need to review this movie. Just go watch my Snow White review. And every complaint I had with that movie, it's with Minecraft. There are the characters, they set up things, skip through development, and just pay it off. I say that in quotation marks because it just begins and ends. That's all there is.
It's like the outline of a story,
Yeah.
or an arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, outline of a story, but there's zero development of how we get from A to Z. There is a character there that is completely useless. I was listening to a podcast where they were breaking down the entire movie, went through six hours of it. They finally went, oh yeah, and there's this character because she was just completely useless. Snow White comparison. Cringe music. Look, I like Jack Black, but this was not the movie where you needed to sing. So, no.
He sings in every movie.
He sings in every movie. I get that, but like this was not.
It's like
the
Will
one.
Smith.
Will Smith, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wild Wild West.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, so this is not the one to do it on. I didn't mind the CGI. Some people were saying it was bad. I didn't mind it. It was fine. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Minecraft fan, but you should have at least gotten me interested in that. You know, if I was gonna watch it, that didn't happen. What else did I say about the Snow White movie? Cringe music, useless characters, no payoffs in story. Do you guys remember?
I mean, it was just so obviously not made to be a movie.
No,
It was just so obviously made to be memes. And the idea that there were people out there who found joy just in that disgusts me so that, like, again, it's that, you know, speaking of a meme, it's just from Futurama. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. It's giving Gamora in the Guardians movies. I'm gonna die surrounded by idiots. Or I'm gonna die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the universe.
I mean- It's
it's not that I refuse to be optimistic about this, but I just feel like everything involving Minecraft is awful for what it represents, for what it is, for where we're going, for where we are. It is.
honestly, I'm not as negative just because big buster bad movie, been there, done that, seen it my whole life, and a lot of people love it, sure. For me, the issue is just more of, the audience reactions, right? Where it's like people aren't even really going to see the movie, right? It's this weird other third thing.
They're going to be the movie.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. That to me is more of like, oh, like that's kind of a more dour. That's where the dourness for me comes from. But it's like, I don't know. I've seen, maybe it's because I've seen so many movies, but it is one of those things where it's like, the quality doesn't look any better or worse than a lot of other bad movies, especially even successful ones. It's just the reaction to it is, and the way it's a little different is what makes me go like, I don't know if this is great as far as pulling people in, to movies the way you said the other guy felt it was.
Yeah, it was very much insane. Like, I have no problem with, like, if you like a movie, but I just, like, feel like from my standpoint, we're now just getting to a point where objectively bad things are becoming the only commodity, and everything else is just either not being made or not making any money. And again, it's just like, it's doom and gloom, right? I will say though,
you're the best at it.
To comment on a story that we've been going through 2 episodes now. Do you guys feel like this variety hit piece on Ziegler was one bridge too far, and that it really blew up in their faces spectacularly? Because it just seems like
I don't think it did it spectacularly, but I just don't think it was very effective.
Okay, it didn't work, basically.
Yeah, I'll say I don't think it really worked. I don't think anyone was buying necessarily what they were selling, unless you were already bought into just hating her. Which, like we discussed before, there's some weirdos on the internet.
They were probably better off not going with that variety hit piece, because I think the media would have just done that on their own.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like we said, the issue for them, I think, was just how blatant it felt. No subtlety.
Yeah, basically. Although it did give us this clip, and I wanted to play it because, quite frankly, if I don't have a laugh right now, I'm going to rage quit this podcast.
For conservative people to act like they're not the biggest fucking babies also is fucking hilarious.
The actress isn't white. There's no prince. They changed the story. What am I going to tell my kids? The shit that my people get upset about. What am I going to tell my kids? Well, fucking talk around it the way you do we talk around the real history of this country. I think you can do that. You can talk around fucking genocide and slavery. I think you can talk around a stupid fucking movie about some broad who didn't exist. You can't do that? Go take them to go see fucking Pinocchio. I don't like Pinocchio because that fucking wooden puppet transitions into a real boy. First of all, I don't like trans people, and God only makes real boys. Not some immigrant named Geppetto.
Some immigrant.
What am I supposed to tell my kids?
I'm pretty sure Geppetto was in Italy, right? I don't think he was an immigrant. That's pretty funny. And yeah, it's true. The things. That's why I said like it's fake. It's fake
outrage.
Outrage, right? And again, not to talk about politics, because I hate talking about politics. I hate bringing it up. I never bring it up on this podcast. There's another person on this podcast that does it all the time, but it's
real quick about Daniel Rickman about the failure of Snow White. I think the reason is much simpler than people think. The real issue is that no one cares about Snow White. It's been done.
Shit.
We've already had several live action versions in recent years. That's your answer.
Again, like almost verbatim what I said when we discussed it.
Yeah.
Last podcast. But yeah, a lot of outrage these days. This is why it's just not worth arguing, or when you do argue it, you just got to be upfront and be like, yeah, I don't believe you when you say you care about this. like looking at the tariffs and stuff and all that, there's so many people that are like, oh, what? Like, I'm supposed to care because, the Dow Jones goes down a little bit, or, it's just money, who cares? That we're like losing their shit. It's like, oh my god, Joe Biden, they had the economy go down a little bit. Like inflation. This is literally the end of the world. And it's like, okay, so clearly,
can I play it? I'm gonna play it.
I don't really care about my 401k.
Live, laugh, love. That's what I always say. You know what I say to all you? It's 401k somewhere. And when did the right become so chill? Aren't you the Bud Lights turning my kids trans, folks?
yeah.
But economic meltdown and you're getting all philosophical?
Losing money costs you nothing. This is just the reality of life. Were you young and dumb? How much money did you lose? Everyone loses money. Everyone loses money. It costs you nothing.
Except money. Losing money costs you money. It's the definition of losing money.
This Jon Stewart guy's pretty smart. He must listen to the podcast and hear my advice.
Oh my god. It's quite bad. What do you make of the timing of the report coming out that Disney has paused production on, I'm not even sure that's the right term here. Maybe they've paused the development of the live action Tangled movie. The timing seemed quite conspicuous. They're not obviously going to stop making them because what the fuck else are they going to make? But what do you make of the only thing that makes this interesting is the timing. Is that, oh, live action film bombed, then this other one, seemingly also fairy tale related, is paused. Was this merely just a flare they threw at the media to change the story from Rachel Zegler?
No, they're gonna move forward with Tangled. As to how is the real question, because I mean, I don't know what they were thinking about doing before, but I'm sure they're going to think, okay, wait, why did this one fail? Blah, blah, blah. And they're going to take all the wrong lessons and who knows what. In terms of pushing that Rachel Zegler story, I don't know. If we're to believe, we keep saying that there's some money laundering scheme going on because of the amount of money they spend. At this point, they're just going to do all the evil shit and just keep making this slop to keep that going. And what I hate the most, even thinking of this, is that they're going to keep hiring, women and people of color, because when it does fail, they can throw them under the bus. Keep throwing them under the bus. And then you're going to get a lot of people on the internet going, hey, wokeness is killing the movie industry. And they're going to keep using them to go, yeah, keep talking about that so you don't, talk about us. that's just my mentality. And to me, if I was in their position, that would probably be what I'd be doing. I don't know.
You would, you piece of shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it was me actually in their position, I would be like, let's make a good movie. No, that's not the thing that they're asking themselves.
No, if you're in their position, you'd put those minorities on the street.
I thought the problem was that there was too many on the street. I thought you were supposed to just kick them out.
Well, yeah, that's what the deportations are for.
Oh, you meant the other country streets, not our streets.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. So yeah. I don't remember exactly, but Peter, when exactly did A24 start making their own Blu-rays?
It's more recently. I think they made like one Blu-ray of one movie a while back, and then that was it for a while. But more recently, they made the like those big special edition ones. But then they started doing like just regular releases. They have that specific box art that they use, which I dig.
For
I dig
example,
on.
like you have a couple of those. The special edition ones basically are like Midsommar, those big boxes, basically.
Yeah, those big boxy looking ones, or Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh yeah. Remind me, what are the ones that you have? What are their titles that you have?
I just said them.
No, all of the ones that you own. It was just those two?
Every film that I own.
Every A24 release.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
Midsommar.
Okay. So there aren't very many then. When I see here, Lamb, The Souvenir, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, After Sun, Showing Up, The Zone of Interest, Love Lies Bleeding, I Saw the TV Glow, We Live in Time, Heretic, Sing Sing, Baby Girl, The Brutalist, which just came out. And
yes.
They announced 2 new titles that are now available for pre-order, A Different Man and Queer.
Yes. It seems like this is like regular now for their theatrical releases.
I actually am a big fan of this. This might be the single most positive story because I feel like, no disrespect to Criterion, but I feel like I need more than 8 new releases a year. I know.
Well, the point of Criterion is to
don't
provide.
Care.
Okay.
Now with A24, thank you very much for. It's. I don't mean to be cavalier, Peter. I know what the point is. I don't care about the point. But with A24,
I wouldn't want to assume you were being cavalier.
Thank you.
Also, again, with cavalier.
What is your problem with the words that I choose to use today? Just come on.
We get it. You teach English.
The point is, it's so nice to see a studio or distributor take care and actually a little bit of pride in what they're making, what they're releasing. And it is just so nice to be able to say, instead of like the Criterion released out of the Criterion release there, which cool, great, I'm all for it. I think I want to get that Flow one. It's nice to have the more regular A24 ones. And it's actually, it's good that A24 has built enough of a brand where they're able to do this.
Yes. It makes me excited when I see a good A24 movie because it's like, oh, I don't have to wonder if I'll ever be able to even have the ability to own it. Or wonder if, the packaging itself is up to snuff. Because I know exactly what it's going to be like. It's going to be pretty good. So, no, I like that. But also we like owning movies and stuff.
especially if there's films that you really, really like,
Yes.
you'd want to own. This week I purchased 3.
Oh my god. From A24 or just films in 20? Oh, okay, let me guess.
Hmm.
2 of them are easy.
Yes.
Brutalist and
What's
Queer.
the third one? What's the third one?
What is the third one? Let's see. Read off the list again? I want to see if I can guess.
No. I don't think I will.
No? Fuck you.
I don't think
need
I
to
will.
know the list.
I don't think I will. I think that one you can just gleam onto yourself. I'll when it comes, I can show it to you.
Okay.
So that one is there. By the way, did anyone get a chance to watch Evil Does Not Exist?
No.
Okay. All right. Did anyone here already watch I Saw the TV Glow?
No.
Wait, you haven't seen it, Peter?
I mean, technically, yes.
Okay, my question is, have you seen that movie before?
In my
It
life,
wasn't-
yes.
Yes, that was my question. It wasn't, did you see it this week?
Well, you need to be more specific.
I just was.
And that's
Okay,
why I
I
answered
just
you
was.
accurately then.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and pull up the Letterboxd description?
Do you want to ruin it for David?
It's fine.
David, you're pissing him off this episode.
If we don't do the review now, this podcast is over today. Like, there's nothing else for us to discuss.
Hey, that would be a record. That would be pretty good. The first hour and 28-minute podcast we've ever had. I thought we had other things to. I could have swore we had other.
No, we ran through them pretty quickly. I mean, is there anything else I missed?
Oh, the Tron trailer.
There was a trailer?
Yeah.
Remember, I sent it, and you're like, "It's gonna suck."
I mean, it is.
Okay, yeah. I'm not disputing what you're arguing, but I'm saying there was a trailer.
Okay. But it wasn't public, right? It was for...
It was public. I shared the video. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry,
the
I don't give a
literal
fuck
video
about
the
any of
trailer.
it. Like, I'm sorry, I can't feign interest at projects that I know are doomed to begin with. So maybe you did. In fact,
okay.
No, I know you did.
That's
I
a
know
lie,
for a fact
because
you
you
did.
love to talk about movies that are doomed to fail. So did you see the trailer, David?
Yes.
All right. Let's discuss.
Visually, it looked nice. I like how they're playing with the fact that they're in the real world. Especially that shot towards the end. It was only like a frame, but obviously the army are attacking the programs, I guess. I don't know what they're called. And then you see like a shot of the sky, and it's just all of their little line things from their fight and all that. I'm like, that actually looks really cool. Other than that, I have no idea what's going on with the story. Jared Leto, I don't want him in this movie, man.
I mean, that's the biggest stickler for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like visually, it's like, okay, it seems like they're keeping visually what the last film was, and I think that's the number one thing people loved about that movie, besides the soundtrack. They didn't get Daft Punk back, but I think Nine Inch Nails is a pretty good replacement for sure. So it's like I'm watching it and I'm like, honestly, like it's not bad. They're hitting some good stuff. And then they showed Jared Leto, and I was like, oh, that's right.
He's in this movie.
And it's not even like, okay, it would be one thing if it's like he plays an eccentric program side character, you know? It's like, no, he's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that's like the one issue as far as the trailer is concerned. I think everything else. Now, is the movie going to be good? that I'm sure we'll have that discussion when it comes out. But as far as the trailer is concerned, I guess it's well put together. Very much a teaser.
Yeah.
Again, visually, I'm like, okay, this looks like Tron. That's really good. It's like music by Nine Inch Nails. Pretty good. And then, yeah, even the angle of, like, them coming into the real world. There were some cool little things they did with it. I was like, okay, a little creative. Kind of like that. Yeah, but then they show Jared Leto's face, and you're like, But overall, it was a positive teaser, I would say.
Same.
How bad are the biopics going to be? Because apparently everybody was like, "Oh my god, the Beatles."
Okay, I'm kind of hitting my limit with biopic. I'll be real. So they're doing a 2-parter Michael Jackson film, which apparently is like 100% endorsed and made by his estate,
which is bad. Which
tells me it's going to be lame. Because whenever whenever the estate or the people that the movie's based on are kind of in charge, a lot of times you can run into things, unless the person's cool as fuck, a lot of the times you're going to run into things where they want to whitewash the hell out of and just kind of leave out anything interesting, really, about the story. The only exceptions, I would say, for the most part, are like Rocket Man and seemingly the Monkey movie.
Better Man,
the Monkey movie story. Yeah, they seem to be acknowledging the issue. Diving into the deviants. And I can tell you one thing, that Michael Jackson 2-parter is absolutely not gonna do that.
There's a good chance it's gonna be hot garbage.
Yes. Yeah. And hot garbage means
money.
Fine. For me, hot garbage is like fine. It's fine. You know, it's a movie. It gives people exactly what they want, which is Michael on a stage, you know. But then they have the Beatles, and this is definitely a little bit more experimental, where it's gonna be 4 movies released at similar times, and then each film is from the perspective of a different one of the Beatles. Super interesting. I say kudos for the idea and sort of the not the execution. I haven't seen it yet, but it's like, this is interesting. It's an out there kind of concept. Kudos to the concept. I don't know. 4 it's a lot of fucking movie to tell this story. Somewhat interesting though, like I said.
Yeah. So, are we not going to do this review then?
David, is it okay if we do the review?
Yes. I already said yes.
Look, you've pissed off David now. Are you happy
I mean, we could just wait till next week if you want to see it, David. Like, I'm more than happy to wait.
No, you guys talk about it. It's fine.
David, pretend he's not here. Look me in the eye. It's okay. He cannot get to you through that TV screen. Is it okay?
I am okay.
Give this answer from your heart.
I am okay.
Okay, I believe you. I saw the TV Glow, directed by Jane Schermerbeer. Look a little closer. Teenager Owen is just trying to make it through life in the suburbs when his classmate Maddie introduces him to a mysterious TV show, a vision of supernatural world beneath their own. In the pale glow of the television, Owen's view of reality begins to crack. Starring Justice Smith, Jack Haven, others. So yeah. This was a movie that okay, wait, no, never mind. I'll say it at the end. But this was a movie that I had seen a while back, and I had recommended it to Mr. Alex is over here a couple of times, but I did warn him because I know he doesn't like to be emotionally tortured, so I'm very sensitive to that. I'm such a good friend.
I'm sure the people who have been listening and watching this particular installment of the show, I think can very much tell that you're quite sensitive to me being emotionally abused.
Yes. No, I agree. 100%.
Based on your behavior, oh yeah, I think we can definitely tell. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yes, yes. You don't believe me. I believe you. So, I had warned him a couple of times to be like, "Hey, this is a good movie. You should watch it." But it's very depressing. It is soul-sucking. So, keep that frame of mind before you see it to kind of...
Which would explain why I avoided it for about practically a year.
Yes, that's true. He did avoid it. He just told me no. He's like, why would I watch it if I could rewatch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the 12th time?
It's not exactly what I said. But okay.
I think that's almost...
Never wanted to miss an opportunity to take in a dig where it's not warranted at all in the first place.
It's literally not
you
even
took a wonderful job right there to take a jab, not just at me, but at a show that had nothing at all to do with this. But good for you. Killing two birds with one stone.
It was not a dig. It was not a jab. I'm pretty sure the first time I recommended it to you, you literally were doing an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. rewatch. And you were literally like, no, I'm good.
How would you know? You have nothing to do with that.
Because you'll let me know when you do.
No, I really don't.
You did. In this particular time, you did. Because I was pushing, like, hey, watch it.
Wow.
Okay. Are you going to apologize?
No. Fake news.
I'm going to put tariffs on this podcast.
Good. Good. I think we all need that.
Okay, so anyway, I had recommended, but as I had previously stated, good friend that I am, warned him, hey, it fucks with you. It's interesting. The response to the film kind of reminds me of Skinamarink. Because some people have came out of that movie going like, what a useless pile of shit. What a waste of time. Terrible movie. I don't know what anyone thinks about it. And then me and Alexa saw it and we're like, oh my god, it's spooky. It's so very spooky. And I really enjoyed it. I loved that film. I found it terrifying. And other people are like, this is the most boring fucking thing I've ever seen. And that's sort of been, I saw the response to, I saw the TV. Oh, some people came out of it going like, wow, like this is incredible. I loved it. Such a good movie. One of the best films of the year. And then other people are like, that was stupid and useless and dumb. What the hell was that? Bad movie, you know. So I was actually pretty interested to see like, oh, okay, let's see what side of the spectrum comes out for him. Especially because, for me anyway, the film is so much, I think, about nostalgia. So I was very interested to see his response. Me personally, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. Really loved it. Get into more of the specifics right now. But the one who has most recently seen it, Mr. Alex's, what did you come away with this film?
It's funny to think about Skinamarink, right? Because I found myself, I don't know, not thinking too much about it, but just remembering how it felt like watching it. You and I watched it, I think, in the best of circumstances, which is in the theater, where we were literally trapped there. And I think that was, we were kind of feeling it, you know? But I think you and I walked out of that movie thinking like, yeah, we can see how people would not like it. And of course, there are two people in this podcast who frequent the episodes and didn't care very much for it. That's all I'll say. And then as far as this one is concerned, that wasn't a joke. What was the laugh there about?
I
Oh. Like, was there a punchline in there somewhere?
Maybe
Maybe its intended target would get it. Anyway, when it comes to this movie, I hadn't read too much of a divisive reaction. I feel like this is much more of a either you like it or you love it. But I haven't seen too many hate. What hatred have you seen from this?
Oh, I've very much seen hatred. Yeah, no, I've just seen some people. I've seen very little like. I feel like it's been very polarizing. Like people like, oh, that was great, I loved it, and other people being like, it just feels like one of those movies where if it clicks for you, it clicks, and if it doesn't click, you're just kind of like, it just doesn't work. Like, why am I even watching this? I don't know. I just saw a lot of that. Maybe I'm wrong.
But you never are, Peter. So, I mean, you're never wrong to begin with, so why even entertain that notion?
That's true. You've been very accurate today.
How rare for me to be that way, I guess. I feel like everything you said about how I would feel about the movie was pretty much spot on. And I felt the same way too, that this would be how I reacted to it. I think when I texted you that I'd seen it, like, yeah, I was right. I was very much psychologically disturbed. Yeah, this thing has a lot of things going for it that I feel like are things that I think go for. I mean, the whole idea how the skin of this is like, you know, obviously nostalgia. The nostalgia for like a TV show that hits hard for you. A TV show that you sit week in and week out to catch, and of course the memory of what it was when you were watching it versus what it would be now. Of course, that's the skin of it, and that's, you know, aesthetically very like enticing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, this is so much more, and it is a it is one of, I think, the most empathetic, I think, tales I've ever seen on screen. I feel like in some ways this was the whole reason why movies exist and what the true power of cinema can be, which was to not just only transport you to other places, but to transport you into other lives. And while in this movie it never outright says anything in regards to the ostracized community, the demonized community known as, transgender people. Very much clearly a lot of people can read this movie as an allegory for that. And if you take that reading on its face, having seen this movie, I feel like there probably has been no better vehicle to illustrate or to better represent what it means to feel trapped in the existence that's been dealt with you, or to be trapped more specifically in your own body. And I mean, truly, psychologically and emotionally, terrifying.
Oh yeah.
This was an experience where I was transfixed. I was locked in the whole time. I couldn't look away. And truly devastating of the highest order. I do not know if this is a film that I'm going to watch too many more times in my life. But I do know that this is going to one that sticks with me, because I do feel this was so designed, intricately designed, and it arrives in a moment and culture where we are, where not only is it highly relevant, but I do feel it is generational. This film will leave an impact. And it's not like, oh, the best movie ever made, or, not like that. But it kind of like, I don't know. It's, again, the horror films have this really amazing touch to them where they can really, in some ways, while people would not expect it, they can very much speak to the times that we're in. Of course, it's always been ingrained in the history of horror, but people most commonly do not associate horror as a franchise that can speak to the times or comment on them. But in fact, they often do. Mm-hmm. And you say Skinamarink. I wasn't like terrified the way Skinamarink let me like shook in a very different way, where I'm like, oh my god, this was. I don't know. Did you feel like it reminded you a little bit of Get Out?
Oh yeah, for sure, a little bit, yeah.
Not necessarily the same audience, but I feel it's just like the particular spot that it was trying to scratch, I think, is in the same vein almost.
This idea of just like this sinister feeling that the world isn't right.
Yeah.
Kind of thing,
Yeah.
That's sort of so much of Get Out plays with is that same sort of fear and paranoia of where I am and everyone around me. It's off kilter and it's not right. That kind of horror, I think. Yeah, I can see.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. It is, I think, a film that everybody should see. And I do recognize that this is one of those movies that is like built with and is better off for not really knowing that much about it. And I wasn't really ever going to go into too much depth just because of that, not because David's here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
But
not doing it for you, David.
Yeah, I want to make that very clear. But it is something that I think is very much worthwhile in seeing. And it's very heartbreaking. There was a particular reaction that I saw from probably the trans adjacent critic, YouTube reviewer, whatever you want to call them, that I've followed for years now. When I followed them, they were like male presenting, and they were like, it was this big, channel for like all this geek stuff, right? And I remember I was watching
John Campion.
It was like 2018. I was watching a review, and in the middle of it, they revealed, and it was like, what? Whoa. Okay. It's not what I was expecting, but good for you. They had such a visceral, emotional reaction to obviously all of what happened in the movie. And some really interesting stories to read about, how people are responding to it, that I think people should be at. But I feel like it was just so unbelievably like choking, just the desperation toward the end of it. And I think, to me, and you recognized it immediately when you shared that damn screenshot of the movie toward the end where it says there's still time.
Yeah.
There's still time. That one was especially, it can be read optimistically, but it also is just so bleak and devastating all the same. And I think that's the makings for a truly masterwork of a film. I'm happy I got to see this. I'm happy I got to experience this. It was not a slog. It was not torture. It's not you're watching a Holocaust movie by any means. So don't get yourself like primed for that.
Yeah,
but it is something that is going to, maybe while you're not watching it, but maybe in the immediacy of having seen it, it's something that is going to touch a part of you and speak to you in its own way. Obviously, the trans allegory is not going to speak to every person, because that's none of our experiences, but there is something in there that everyone can relate to.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about the movie. I think a lot of people are going so hard and being like, it's about trans people. Yeah, for sure. The director has said as much, but that's the cool thing about art. You pull it apart and there's different things. I don't think it's just something that solely says one thing. I do think there's some ideas about just nostalgia and feeling unfulfilled and feeling like you just aren't the person that you're supposed to be, and you don't know how to
this
fix
isn't
it.
even real life.
Yeah.
Like, what were we just talking about for this whole podcast? What was me spiraling even on about? Because it just feels like, you gotta be kidding me. This can't be what our lives are. This can't be this complete joke.
There is still
of
time.
An existence.
What I'm telling you is you'll only be happy once you transition. So,
what?
Anyways, I think also the film, honestly, it's funny. It's kind of a comfort film for me in a weird way.
As Schindler's List is too.
It's not. I think I've said the exact opposite with Schindler's List. It's.
You said it was Nope. Nope is a comfort film.
Nope.
For you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Heck
Mine
yeah.
is Flower Moon.
Flower Moon. Hell no. That is not a comfort film. No. That's such a depressing film. Holy shit.
Which one?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with Nope, I don't have to. Well, I'd have to experience the psychological terror of people being eaten by an alien cloud.
But
and
it's
being crapped
awesome.
Out.
It's awesome.
Oh god, I even got chills just thinking about it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. But with this movie, it is steeped in. It feels just like another time period. You know, it's weird the way it sort of brings a certain kind of nostalgia to life. I legitimately would watch the series within the film. The
Oh
Pinkle
yes. I was
would
even
watch
thinking to
that
myself, wait, was this a real show? Because I was like legit thinking
it's
for
so
like
well done. It's so well realized. It feels like a genuine real show that came out in like the late 90s or something.
Yeah. It feels like
it's-
something that actually existed and was a hit, and
Yeah.
like with so many things, that's been lost to time.
It's just lost to time. Just canceled one day and that's it.
By the way, that revelation
Mhm.
when it came in the movie, I was like, no way.
That's when you drop to your knees. You're
No.
like, no.
No way. And there was, oh my God, getting chills just thinking about it too, because there was a moment where, well, I think you see it behind me, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of great imagery as far as this being a wonderful film. But if you see behind me, the cover actually for the Blu-ray is Justice Smith with his head in the inside of a TV.
Oh yeah.
And that happens at the exact moment when I think that revelation is happening. And it was just like, it was one of the most, oh God, I don't know if trippy is the right way of saying it, but it was just like, wow, this is so great.
I mean, what a better representation of nostalgia than wanting to shove your head into a TV to escape the world. It speaks to such a particular mindset that absolutely can be, and very much it. There's so much more hint into the trans allegory that it is, but I also think it just also comes with a lot of universal emotions and feelings and ideas that I had no trouble sort of latching onto and feeling those things throughout the movie with the main character. It's also, I feel like it's not a long movie. It feels...
It's not. It's, I think, an hour 45.
Yeah.
Around there, yeah.
Not that long, not too crazy long. There's...
But it also doesn't feel like a short film either. It feels the right amount of length.
Yeah. Mr. Melancholy, again, very on the nose with what it's doing and what it's saying. But I just love the feel, the direction, the music, the overall. It's a beautiful film. In just, to me, it's very mesmerizing package.
Yes. Absolutely mesmerizing. It was one of those things where I'm just like, when you're in. Can't take your eyes off of it. You can't. And then once it's over,
no, yeah. To be honest, it's the ending that really kind of solidifies the like oh man, this is bleak. But bleak stories are worth telling, for what we pull from them. So I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's actually a film that I don't do this a crazy amount. I've gone back and sort of experienced it a couple more times, just because, I don't know. It just vibe with the wavelength of the film. I think I really enjoyed it. And Justice Smith, oh my God, he does such a good job.
He's amazing in this.
He's
He's
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
And, God help him because, I'm happy he has this because I feel like for the most part, I mean, he's good in everything. And you always know, like, when you see him, like, he can really be in great projects. But, like, all I can remember him being in was in Detective Pikachu, which was good. And then
okay.
also Jurassic World.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't. No, you're right.
Dungeons
he was
and
in that
Dragons.
movie. He was good in that movie, too. I forgot about that one. Thank you, David, for reminding me about that. That's also a really fun movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that had the goddamn Minecraft appeal, but no. Or at least the Minecraft movie being made with that level of care. But no. Yeah. This is a film I recommend you and Alexis to watch. I think this, I don't know. By the way, that implies Alexis is even in the same continent as you. I don't know where the hell she is. But whenever she happens
Instead
to be
of where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, you ask where in the world is Miss Moreno.
Do you want to answer that question, David? Or is she in an undisclosed location?
No, she was just at a cousin's place. My cousin got a new place. So
she moved in.
no, she didn't move there. They were just hanging out.
Cool. But this, I think, would be a good movie to experience together. I'm really curious to see. I mean, this would also be an interesting movie to react to. For the channel.
I don't know about that.
I said interesting.
Well,
Didn't necessarily mean
okay,
it was
that's
good.
true. That's true. Interesting.
So interesting to see which way it would go, but I don't know what it would be like. But I mean, that's yeah. By the way, before we close the podcast today, how far are we, Peter, from completing your lists?
I'm keeping that to the vest. Tight to the vest.
Okay, so we're not anywhere closer. Got it.
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to. The communication was conveyed very clearly.
I did. No, it was not.
So, I am having a really hard time, not necessarily with like what the movies are gonna be, but what order to put them.
See, when you're having a tough time, I think you just always have to lean back on like which one just emotionally resonated with me at a high level.
I'm not really overly concerned with like top 3. Those are kind of locked in. I'm kind of confused what, let's just say, numbers 4 through 8 are. In what order they should be, because like all cards on the table, like, am I really gonna have a top 10 that has Dune on the outskirts of that? Because
I'm ready to. You piece of shit. You piece of shit. Oh my god, we haven't even started recording this thing yet. How dare you?
Well, I don't know what you heard, but I said on the outskirts of major positions. I didn't make any declarative statements about Dune Part 2 missing the top 10. I feel like that's a given. I think every person's going to have Dune Part 2 on the top 10. I'm not suggesting it's not going to be in the top 10. So there's that. But if I'm talking about films that have like moved me on a spiritual level, Dune Part 2 is one of them. But then there's also these other ones, and I'm like, what And I'm kind of in a position where I'm like, I think I need to rewatch all of them just to be sure which ones. But then I don't know if that's even going to help anything.
You can start tonight.
No, I already began.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, what?
Just put Dune 2-1. Get it over with.
Are you saying that I should just put Dune Part 2 as my number one spot?
Yes.
Okay. But don't you feel that would be entirely too easy?
No, it's not about ease. It's about accuracy.
But it wouldn't be accurate, is my thing.
Why wouldn't it?
Because it's not the top movie of the year for me. Are you saying it is for you?
I'm saying these are objective facts.
So that's a yes.
I didn't say yes. I just said these are objective
I
facts.
think it's a good bet, even though Alexis will not participate in the podcast, most likely. If she were to make a list, I think she would definitely put Dune Part 2 as number one.
I don't know. Sometimes I read her lists and it's like, who is this? Grace Randolph? You know?
What movies come to mind, Peter?
It's not specific movies. Like I said, it's her lists.
Okay. So you had no objection to having Eternals as the number 2 movie?
Oh, I did. Absolutely insane. 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 In the membrane.
I don't know. I think you're too hard on that movie, only because some of us happen to like it. You seem to be more animated about it. But if it wasn't on those lists in the first place, I feel like you really wouldn't care.
I'm the exact level of animated that the rest of the world is about that film.
I don't think that's accurate, considering we have a review on file that pretty much is toward the opposite of what you just said. So there is that. Does anyone have any idea what the next movie that is going to come out is that we might care to watch and talk about? Because I don't really know myself.
Superman. Honestly, that's the only one I can really think of. I can't think of any other kind of film. Sinners. I'll watch Sinners. I think that comes out first, doesn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, Peter, can I just ask for a clarifying statement on your behalf? Are you finished with the list for 24?
Keeping these close to the chest.
Because last we spoke, you said that you still needed to watch some movies for completing the list for 23. You said nothing about 24.
And I will continue not to.
Okay. Well, I mean, you take as long as you'd like. I still need more time figuring mine out. So
I'm not taking long. I'm just keeping this info close to the chest.
Okay, sure, but like we're recording this on April 8th, 2025. I don't think you could accurately say I'm not taking long to finishing a list of movies from the year 2023.
I meant from this point moving forward. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. Duh.
Okay.
Although I will say last time you said, what was it, like 2 years and 6 months or like a year and 6 months or something, and it's like, no, it's like barely into the 4th month. Like, slow your roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have anything else to say?
I did watch Death of a Unicorn.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, it was
Did you
fine.
like it?
It was fine.
fine.
Yeah. I mean, concept was pretty neat. I like how they utilized it. If you don't know, basically, two people kill a unicorn, and then the parents of that unicorn start going on a killing spree, taking revenge.
Sounds like a Daniels movie.
I don't know who directed it actually, but yeah, the kills were pretty neat. You like the kills because you hate the people in a good way. But you know, good time. Has Paul Rudd in it. Jenna Ortega is pretty good. It's not really much for me to say. Like I said, it's a pretty simple movie. You know, it's a good watch. You know, not that long. I think it's like an hour and a half. So
sounds like a fun time.
Yeah.
There was something else. Wait, hold on. I wanted to ask, and then it just went away. Oh yes. So you really didn't have a good time at all for Minecraft?
Not really. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of this video game. So any
That's
references,
the thing I don't think helps. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. It's like it technically shouldn't. Like, I shouldn't have enjoyed Super Mario because I'm a Super Mario fan or anything like that. You know, I should have enjoyed it because of the story. Same thing with Minecraft. So I don't think it shouldn't matter whether I'm a fan or not. But you know, I do have to take that into account because I don't really understand the references. There was this reference, where you know it's Jack Black taking the characters around the town or the village, and you see this pig with a crown passing by, and one character points out, "Oh, what's that?" And he goes, "It's a legend," and then that's it. That's the end of it. After the movie comes out, turns out it's a reference to some Minecraft. I don't know if it's Twitch streamer or just someone from the community who his like icon, I guess, is of a pig wearing a crown, and that's what it is. So like, there was no way I was ever gonna figure that out. The only one that I could for sure tell, like, oh, this is a reference, was in the after credit scene where, so after when the movie ended, people were clapping in my theater. They didn't make a single sound throughout the entire movie.
Really?
There wasn't a laugh or anything like that. But for some reason, after the movie, they all clapped, and then
they saw real cinema.
Yeah, in the end. In the after credit scene, Jack Black, who goes back to his home because he left it behind to live in the Minecraft world before, he goes like, "Hey, I used to live here," and the lady that opened the door goes, "Oh, there's a chest in the attic, yours?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm so glad it's still here. I'm Steve, by the way." And then the lady goes, "I'm Alex," and then these three dudes in the front go, "Yes, let's go,
let's go."
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's a reference. Clearly,
I'm pretty sure Alex is just like
the other skin.
Steve is just the non-character boy avatar to play as, and I'm pretty sure Alex is just the girl avatar you can play as.
That's literally it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So, I mean, I wasn't that excited for that after credit scene for Super Mario, where you just see the Yoshi egg. I wasn't just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Of course they're gonna do that.
Yeah, but Yoshi's actually a character too.
True. But yeah. So yeah, I wasn't excited about the movie at all. Like I said, the jokes didn't really land much. The characters were almost nothing. It's almost like the more like I see breakdowns of the movie, the more I'm kind of like, who the heck took over this movie and just started inserting whatever they wanted? Because it's the biggest thing. The people who really criticize the movie is, who the heck is the main character? Because it ain't Jack Black. It was probably Jason Momoa at first, and he's a producer of the movie, so that makes sense.
Oh,
but
that makes sense.
Some other producer or something might have come in and said, wait, this is a Minecraft movie. This is for kids. Make the kid like the only
like the
youngest,
kid avatar type thing.
Like make the kid the main character, and then it's just they're trying to write as they were filming, and it just made there was just no story in the end between all of them.
I mean, that's just kind of the way it seems big blockbusters are made these days, where it's like they go in filming and they're like, we don't have a script. A lot of rewrites, things thrown here and there, everywhere.
I know, but that's just what sucks about this, because like you literally could have done anything, and you ended up with nothing.
They ended up with a big ass box office opening. That's what they ended up with. Sure,
yeah, and I mean, I really wanted to mind it like a simple. I mean, look at Super Mario. It is a very simple story. Dude goes into another world, has to save the day, gets the girl in the end, and that's it. It's very simple. It's not really much to it. Do I wish it was more? Absolutely, but there was enough there to get me excited for the sequel, and maybe they'll do more in the next one. Who knows? With Minecraft, though, there's nothing there, and I honestly feel like you can just take away all those characters, keep Jack Black. I guess I can say this positive thing. Jack Black and Jason Momoa. I would not mind seeing some, buddy cop duo with them. I
mean, I llove both of them. I think they have good comedic chops, both of them.
No, yeah, but then like you just see them both in the movie, you're kind of like, oh, because both characters are trying to like one up each other throughout the entire time. But I'm like, I would not mind seeing this in a comedy movie, but like either buddy cop movie or something. I don't know, but
yeah,
I think they will make a great pair.
That's a good part. I did see people saying, even those that didn't like it, they're like, "Hey, I like these two together."
It's an interesting match. I guess like in the 90s, you'd had Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. So it can work.
Yeah. Very bleak. All right. Thank you all for watching. I guess we'll see you if there's a podcast next time. All right, then, everybody. We'll see you guys. Bye.
Bye.